Alright, so I'm just going to do this right on top of it. If you have the file open, you would just go to new, otherwise it'll just show you this new document element. You're pretty familiar with this, I'm sure by now. We're going to do print, we're going to do letter, we're going to change it to inches. Whoa. Graphic designer's book underscore your name. So we have the title done. We have the width and height correct. We want this portrait orientation. We do want facing pages because we'll be making spreads. And I said at first we should at least have 20 pages. Columns, I said 6. And margins, I think I did 25. And bleed, let's just do 25. I did 25 for bleed and a quarter for margins. So let's see how close it is to what I had done before. Remember, you can always preview. That looks good. That's what I had before. Can't show you what I had before, but I believe that's it. And then hit create. So remember what I have here. Print, letter, graphic design book, my last name, your last name, units, inches, orientation, portrait, size, dimension, correct, at least 20 pages. And we're going to start on page 2. No, let's just leave it at 1. Facing pages, columns, gutter, margins, bleed. Okay? Great. Alright, so you have everything you need here. Remember, you can always utilize master pages anytime you want, right? That's just to be an element that you're going to have on every page. And maybe you do. Maybe you want something that kind of does a design element for all of your number pages. So this might be on all of my work to kind of be some element for my number pages. W, remember, as long as you're not on text, you can see what it actually looks like. You change this color. So if you had something that you want on all pages, you could do that. So let's start at the beginning. Make sure you have the copy of the name of the book correct. Graphic designer. So if you go to 4, graphic designer book is the name, so you just can copy that. Open up text box and put it in. And then begin to start choosing how you want to lay this out. Do you have this in multiple text boxes? What typeface do you want? So either Helvetica, Arial. Maybe you don't want it all in caps. You can go to type and change the case here if you don't want it all in caps and you typed it in. So you really have an opportunity to choose anything you want. And I would say this and the title page, I would just manually do it. And then once you get the look that you like, then build your paragraph styles and your creative styles so that you can fill in the rest of the pages the way you want. But this, whatever you use type-wise here and on your title page are going to be all the type that you need throughout your whole book. So I have the name here. You're going to put some art here, remember? And remember, if you don't want a master to bleed through to the front cover, you can just block it by doing none. So now I don't have that line. And I want you to really stay within the columns. It kind of helps support the design. But you can make this repetitive if you wanted. You really can do anything that you would like to do to play around. Maybe these are all different colors. Really enjoy creating something. You know, maybe this is just number 10. Calling back to that there's 10 designers. Remember E, transform, is still here. If I do E and hold shift, it will increase the size of my type in my type box. Otherwise, the type box will just open and close and not affect the type. I have to hit the transform or E for transform to do it. So I could do something like that. There's also letting and kerning that we've talked about. So you have this that could come in. And which might be nice because then I can increase the size of the typeface. Again, I have to do E, or I need to click on transform to increase the size of the type. And remember, you can play with color. There's color options. If not, you can choose a color palette. I mean, what does design look like if you ask to explore? What do people think design color is? It's interesting. So remember, you just go to flat color design. All you gotta do is have it added to my swatches, and it should be now in your swatch. So before you start really getting at this, make sure that you have your tools open, and that you have like the essential workspace open. You're really getting a lot of tools available right off the bat. So it's easy to just make some adjustments. Okay, something happened with not getting my colors. But it should have added my colors. So let's try a different one. There we go. I can add that color onto it. Alright, and here's where we start doing text. Remember, it's going to be the name. So you can go back to the page and select the copy of the name of the book. That goes somewhere. The other thing is title page needs to actually say title page. And then you're going to need, either you put it with it or you have it on its separate. This is the designers. Names and then pages. And then usually there's like, either you can use the tab, which we talked about before. So I can hit Command T. Sorry, it's Shift Command T for tab or tab. And Shift Command T, you can set your tab here. And then when I hit tab, now I'm going to hit tab. It should move it to where I have it lined up. And if I want to line it up again next to the grid, that would be a good idea. So that's page 1 to page possibly 4, and then you keep naming all of your designers. I'm just copy pasting, but you're gonna have to change the names. I wouldn't put the pages names and numbers in yet. I would design the whole book, just do one name and one page, and then come back and add the right page numbers. So now to the fun part. What characters and what typefaces are you going to use for everything? The other thing you're missing is you should call yourself out as the designer. No, designer. Designed. So do designed by, and then your name. So these are all the elements that you would need. The only other one that we're still missing is page numbers. So we'll do one page number here. I don't typically put a page number on this side, but we can start here. And then what does that look like? So this is where you start picking your styles. So maybe this is going to line up right to your black line. It's larger, and the numbers are always Helvetica, where the copy is Guermantes or Baskerville. So we're already making no more than 2 different typefaces, everyone. And then again, stay within the typefaces that I told you, but you can change the characters. So then you just keep figuring out, like, oh, this is the title, it should be bigger. How does it fit into the guide, the grid, I mean. And then do I want it bold? Maybe I want it bold. And then this should stay at a certain size, a more readable type, around 11. This could be something different. Maybe it's just semi-bold and you go up to 14. And this could stay at that generic typeface size. So we're already getting a style going on. Maybe this is uppercased. Maybe this is all caps. You need to decide on those elements. Maybe it's actually bold. Maybe you do the characteristic and add a line underneath it. But make sure you call it, this is more of the subheader. I mean, call it whatever you know what it is. Right? So it will automatically kind of take in the information that I had before, all caps. And then you can change the color or you can do the outline. Maybe pick dots instead. And we should be able to see it. Oh, so that's what it looks like with the dots. Oh, it's also selecting the ones below. Okay. So hit OK. Oh, I didn't hit OK. You gotta make sure your my stuff is in there. So this needs to be sub. So it's not the header, but it's still a header in some cases. So I call it subheader. Format's fine. I'm just adding something more defining. Okay, so for here, we want to change it to just be regular copy. So we can even go down to 10. We can go to regular type. I would always do optical. and the rest is good. Then hit OK. Now it should have made this, call this body. It's the main copy, it's the body copy of it. And just make sure the underline is off, because it might have taken the characteristics of a different typeface. So the problem here is that you always have to have a return. So that has a return now. I should be able to do that. And then I can select this as my body. The other thing I noticed is that it's doing all caps, and we want normal. So it's a little difficult to play around with this. This should then be just body copy, so that makes it easier. And then you would take the characteristics of a header. So this is the header, this is a subheader, this is body copy, and this is just a different ornate type. And then you want to put in your page number. And then you really have everything you need to create your content. You have all your different typefaces set up and ready to go. If you want to change the color, you can always go back and just adjust the color or some other effect if you want. And it'll affect all the page numbers. So once it's set up at page number, you can do one quick edit. And then this, you would do the header. So this is a great way to kind of keep everything consistent and looking the same, but really being creative. Right, so we have header, subheader, pages, which really should be body, and then pages. So we have header, subheader, body copy, more body copy, and then page number. And feel free to, like, if you had something else you wanted, if you're going to do weird large numbers through the whole thing, you can add large numbers. Like I numbered each one of the artists. So you can always add in more characters. And if you want to make some of these bold, remember you can go to character and just add bold. So if I wanted this actually bold, I'm going to delete that because it was actually taking the number one. So we'll add a new character. We're going to change the family to bold. Then hit OK. So now it's bold. So it's still the type size as body copy, but it's bold. And so if I wanted to make, I think this one's the bold one. Remember to put in what the style is. This might be another long one, sorry guys. And then this I might want to do italic. And then I can make my page numbers actually italic. I always do just IT, so I know that's italic. Alright, so you have italic, bold, it'll affect any of these. Like I can even just make this italic if I wanted to. So there's a lot of ways of just setting up the type. And once the type is set up, then you can just, play around with the overall look. So my line is this element that plays in here. This can be changed to anything manually if I wanted to relate it to the pink of the number, and I have a whole nother look. This needs to be more considered. Put an image in it, and then you go back and forth with the W. Again, make sure that your W, you're not on type when you do the W. And then this would be that information that we wanted. right? The name of the designer, so you go back to that list that I gave you. Name and date. And then what country are they in? And just look that up and make sure you know. So it's their name, their date, and the country that they're in. And then you can start putting in the copy. So either this is your paragraph copy, or this is the copy that I was provided. So you select all of what I have provided, and you paste it in here. Remember that that little box will pop up, and you can add a new column. And when it comes in, it can be a little choppy, so you have to go back and adjust the type. Alright, so that's the column. You can change these any way you would want. You know, maybe you make them smaller and this one bigger. Maybe you do one large one with some elements around it. Whatever way you want to do it. And then this could be the sample, the images. And maybe you only want to do 2 of the book. Remember, you can use the arrows as long as you didn't let go of the box to create more box forms. And then here I can just place the images. Remember how to place images. Go to the name of the designer because I set it up correctly, and I can just open up the pages. Now remember, everything immediately is masked, so I double click on it, I can go back and see how large it is. And then I go to the second one and I do the same thing. Make sure you don't distort the imagery, right? So when you do click on it and increase the size, you're hitting shift as you drag in. And I've been using the zoom in and zoom out. Because when the picture is really, really big, it's hard to see it. Right, and you kind of play around with that. Now we got the 2 images. You might have 3, so maybe you make this into the way I had it before. You can really do anything you want, just as long as all the elements are there. And then I already provided the name of the art, the book and the design. So where does that go? And what typeface do you use for that? You can go and use your body, and then maybe it's also italic, or it's none. And then you should put in, and I would just copy your numbers. So if you wanted to, you could just do one side. So this is 1, 2, and then this would be 3. All the way down. And do you want it? Maybe you need to adjust it so that it's more like that. And do you still want to do a number, a big number for it? So you could just do this and change it to 1 for the 1. The first one of 10, and play with it within the column. So I'm just like trying to figure out how this all works. Needs more space. will it work like that? And I let the type wrap around it, and it goes arrange back. You can always send things back under object arrange back. So there's a different way of doing layouts. So you just have to keep playing around with ways, but I would set up your type first and your look of your art, and then, like I said, the next spread could be your inspiration. You do file, place, to place images, and my inspiration. And remember when I was telling you I did it as a TIFF bitmap? Now it allows me to change the colors if I wanted to. So that's just a little something. And then I want to make sure I copy my image down to the next page. And there you go. There's your page. So have fun with it. You just need to make sure you have all the elements. The copy that is provided that's in there. Maybe a letter number if you want. Make sure it stays within the columns. Kind of work around the column aspect for your design. Make sure you have examples of the work, and you have the work title and the name of the artist that the designer already provided, their date of birth and maybe death, and then where they are from. So I didn't give you where exactly they're from, so you might have to look that up. And then make sure that this is all spaced correctly. So go back and see where paragraphs are and indent when necessary. Alright, so I hope that's enough to get you started. Again, this weekend you can put this in Dropbox and I'll look at it. If you do send it to me, you should send it, definitely save your file in your folder. And then once you do that, what you can do is package. We don't think we talked about package. Maybe we did a little bit in InDesign, Illustrator. But we haven't gotten to it already. Package is under File, and you want to package your file. It'll collect all of the type that you're using, just to make sure I have it. And it'll tell you if there's any missing links. And then package it back to your folder, and then you'll send me the whole file. So go back to my InDesign file here, and we'll package it. And voila. That's how you would do your first spread. So this would be 1 of 10 of these. But really kind of challenge yourself to make each spread a little bit different. But use the same type elements that you've set up in your paragraph styles. Alright, I hope you just have fun with this.